Okay, so hello everyone, welcome everyone. Greetings, good morning, good afternoon. First of all, I echo the same feelings that Deepak said earlier. Thank you for taking the time out from your busy schedule and engagements to have a conversation about AI. Right? It's important to have this conversation today as industry leaders. We should be speaking about it, right? And there are so many interesting topics and conversation happening globally at Thoughtworks during this AIFSD festival, and I think it's a great forum for us to participate and lead the conversation in the industry. So thank you AIFSD team for organizing this and giving me the opportunity to participate and share my thoughts on it. So in today's agenda, in this session, AI as an accelerator in PDLC, product development lifecycle. Uh, Today, our goal is to look at AI and understand how it impacts the evolution of product management altogether and a product manager's role. Second, how can we as technologists integrate AI to accelerate product development? And lastly, understand the risks and mitigation steps that we can take while working with AI. We have to be slightly more careful while working with AI. It's 2.5 years old. I mean, the one that we are using right now, AI as a topic has been a conversation for decades now, but the one that we are using heavily right now is still new and innovative, right? So it comes with its own risks. So before we begin, a little something about me. I'm a senior product manager based out of Thoughtworks, Canada. I've spent about 12 years in technology industry in various roles, ranging from a Java backend Java developer to a full stack front-end developer and cloud practitioner. And now I eventually found my home in product management. Over the course of my career, consulted a few. I've had the opportunity to consult a few Fortune 500 companies and build their tech strategy and drive execution. But at the heart, I am a problem solver and a builder and a learner for life. That's how I define my philosophy for life as well. And I'm happy to connect with folks outside this conversation on any topic. Happy to meet everyone. Topics ranging from my coffee rituals to AI, as we're going to talk about it today, right? So to begin with, let's look at AI from a 50,000 feet level, and I'm certain that most people in this room would have thought about AI through this lens. But just to refresh everybody's memory, just to make sure that we are all on the same page to begin with, it- I kind of have a nostalgic story here. Growing up, I used to write essays about new technologies in my English class about if it's a bane or a boon. I don't know if how many of us have done that before in our childhood, but at least I did. And similarly, I think with all of these conversation happening about AI, I think there are two different polar opposite views: dystopian views, AI is gonna kill us, or utopian views, it can change our lives forever for better and for good, right? So I'm not saying anyone is wrong or right. I'm saying they're both valid arguments in their own ways. But for today's discussion, we'll focus on the utopian view. Hence, we're going to assume AI is not here to replace us or kill us yet. What it will do is it will improve our productivity. It will give us a time back, reduce our time to market as a product team, as a product technologist. We tend to release products and ship products out. So it reduces time to market. It will allow us to focus on strategic efforts. Then it will improve the return on investments by reducing costs and shortening timelines for us as well as for our clients. Lastly, and the most important one for me, I think it complements our human thinking and human intelligence, not substitute it. So that's important to keep in mind as well. All said and done, we should also understand that it is not perfect. And there have been examples. I think yesterday I was reading a story where a Replit AI agent, which is a coding agent, actually deleted the entire production database of the company for one of their clients. It's crazy how it is. It has made companies vulnerable to cybersecurity threat as well. So, however, that happens with almost any innovative and new technology that comes into picture. It happens. Some similar things happen with cloud. Similar things happen with previous technologies as well, where we learn, we iterate, and we learn. Right? As a product people, we know that. And what it means for us as technologists and at ThoughtWorks is it is a very powerful tool, which still requires human oversight, which still requires some governance and processes around it. And through the course of this talk today and some demos that we will do today with everyone, we will actually go through some of those things that we should keep in mind while working with AI. So any questions? I'm going to pause here if anyone has a question here. No question. That's good. Uh, so moving on, how does the product manager's role shift and evolve in this era where we are integrating AI in product development cycle, right? Uh, so I'm gonna do a quick poll before this. I'm Bear with me as I'm doing polls for the first time in Zoom. Uh, okay. I'm gonna ask the what kind of archetype are we the group has here, right? We'll give people 5, 10 more seconds to respond. So I see a great mix of people here, ranging from product manager, business analyst, engineering, and operations as well. And that kind of is very similar to the ratio of our resources in Thoughtworks as well. I think to the same extent. That's good. Uh, so moving on, how does the product manager's role or product management as a art evolve in this era, and how are we integrating AI in the product development cycle? So one thing I want to begin with an outline in front, like with AI, the roles are going to spread thin across there's a lot of there will be a lot of cross-functional skill share across the groups, across these engineering, product management, business analysts, and operations as well. Because AI will enable us to perform and learn the cross-functional skills too. So I'm glad we have a mix of all the people here. So traditionally for a PM or a senior PM role, the ratio of time spent on tactical versus strategic effort, tactical such as writing some writing a PRD or doing some information synthesis, right? Versus strategic efforts such as doing customer discovery, problem scoping, was 60% to 40% or so. And that is changing with AI actually. So you can see a bunch of stats on my screen right now, and 40% improvement in productivity, and this is all evolving stats, right? Uh, but to summarize all these stats, it actually what it really means is giving time back in our hand uh, to do and focus on the important stuff, which is shaping the product, right? Say, for example, we should spend more time in customer discovery. We should spend more time in problem discovery and building the right solutions, right? Shipping the product out much faster and resource management. And last and not the least is my most favorite one is stakeholder management, communication and collaboration. So no matter what task we give out to AI, this is one thing that is still going to be very much important and a core skill for us going forward. Irrespective of your role, you can be an engineer, still be good at stakeholder management. You can be a PM. I think it's a core skill for PM, and as well as for anyone else as well, right? So that's how the product manager's role is actually shifting and evolving in the future here. Next, we will talk about how do we integrate AI in our product development lifecycle. For this discussion, we are going to anchor on a framework, a methodology, a product thinking methodology at Thoughtworks that we use this methodology at Thoughtworks pretty widely. And if you have not seen this before or would like to learn more about this, I would urge you to go to campus, and there are some trainings available on this methodology, and I would highly recommend it for everyone, irrespective of your role in the company as well. It kind of tells us about different steps that we take to get the product out in the market, right? Understand the problem, shape and validate the solution, defining the product vision, plan for release. How do we get the product out? organizing and doing the work, and last but not the least, ship the product out. And it's an iterative process. It's not like it's one and done. We get some feedback and then we go back to finding the problem again, right? So across our PDLC, for reference purpose, I have actually listed some tools that we can leverage, or our clients are using, that have seen our clients use to accelerate their delivery timelines. This is not an exhaustive list, but it gives a good point of reference in terms of what sort of tools are available for what kind of purposes. So for demo scenario, this is an interesting one. I'm about to be a first time parent, and as I was trying to learn things out of curiosity, I was surrounded by tons of information coming from all over the place, from my family, from my parents, from my friends, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Reels. Everybody seems to have a point of view these days. So it was pretty interesting to see the ton of information, but a lot of it is also noise that I could not filter out, right? And as a problem solver, as a product builder, my first thought was, are there any products that can help me get this out, or help me solve this problem? And then I couldn't find one that was directly relatable to it. So I met a group of parents, or parents to be, and it seemed like a lot of us were struggling with all this information overload, and we felt overwhelmed because of this. So I thought this could be a good way to test out, build an app with everybody out here, or if not an app, at least use that as a demo scenario and solve for this problem using different AI tools today. Uh, so our problem statement to begin with is slightly broad, like how might we make the lives of first-time parents easier? So to start with, the first phase of the problem, right? I'm going to pause here before we move forward. Any questions that people have? No questions. The first phase is understanding the problem. The first step in a product development lifecycle, which is also known as discovery, and it has a few tactics in it, right? Such as immersion, business research, user research, and there are AI tools that can help us with that. I think I'm sure people here have used Gemini or Perplexity or ChatGPT to actually do some sort of a business analysis or some sort of a research already, right? And these tools can actually save us a lot of time in across different aspects, right? As a consulting company, we have to onboard and do some business research about our clients. It will help us with that. We can get faster research done. Team alignment can be done better, and the time to the cost for actually doing all of this, since we are a consulting company as well, our time is the most precious asset, right? So if we're doing it faster, we're actually saving cost. So as I promised, we'll do some demos now. And to begin with, I'm going to use Perplexity. It's one of my favorite tools to use because it lists out the sources at top, and it's easier for me to validate and verify those things. But we're going to use this prompt. As a first-time parent, like what are the challenges that we see, right? And we're going to use this prompt to actually see what it returns and how can we validate the problem space much quickly. I'm going to copy paste this prompt and bring a new window up here. Okay. So the same prompt that you were able to see earlier in the slide is now here. I'm exploring the problems for the first-time parents to be, and based on the available research and tools, outline the biggest challenges for parents up to the first year of the baby's birth. That is the ask, and I have asked it to narrow down the research to the digital solutions available today, and also do some sort of a competitive analysis by identifying the solution that which already exists in the market and what is their value proposition. So it's gonna take a few minutes to get things done. Actually, I should have selected the research mode. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna move to the research mode, sorry. same query, but in the research mode, which actually will help me build a report altogether in the first place. It's going to take a few minutes to actually do a deep research on the topic, go through tons of resources on the internet, and actually bring out the solutions, right? It's asking me a question, are you focusing on digital tools? Yes. So while it is working, right? While the tool prepares the detailed report, few things that we should keep in mind, right? AI can hallucinate. If you've heard of the word hallucinate in AI context, it basically means it can make stuff up on its own, for the lack of a better word. It can uh, interpret things in a completely different way as well, as it is compiling tons of resources online. It is based on internet, and internet is only as good as the information available, right? And we all know there's tons of garbage information available on internet as well. It also introduces bias because of the information that we are processing it on. So as a PM, I while I leverage this to do some tactical work for me, do some initial analysis, I cannot thoroughly rely on it, right? I will have to, it becomes my responsibility and my job to verify the data and review the insight as it is drawing on the report. In all of this process, right, it our role becomes more of a reviewer here, and it it instead of like actually drafting it from the very beginning. I will have to actually go back and see if the information is accurate or not. This report, which it's generating right now, would typically, as a PM, I would spend a week or two to actually go through all the tons of sources. It went through 96 websites or sources, including media sources. To go through all of those and compile a report for me, it would have actually taken me a week or two without AI. And my breadth of research would have been limited to certain websites or certain desk research sources, right? But now it has actually gone through tons of sources. And in the matter of minutes, I think in about 2.5 minutes, it was actually able to understand and prepare a report of sorts. What are the key challenges for the first year of parenthood and health challenges and whatever not? The information overload crisis. This is where we are going to focus on for the rest of the discussion. And what are the solutions available in this space? There are baby tracking applications, there is development and educational applications, and what are their value propositions. So it kind of helped me get an anchor on the things that I wanted. And if I wanted to actually further narrow it down, I can actually tweak that as well. Any questions on this first part?
So just curious, you mentioned bias in AI, which I get. Have you tried the same prompt across different AI tools, not just Perplexity, but others to see kind of how the data compares?
It varies a lot. Yes, I have actually tried the same prompt with Gemini and ChatGPT as well. Uh, Again, I'm not saying which of the tools is better than the other. It's just
Sure.
that I find it easier for me personally to verify sources, specifically when they're added as footnotes throughout the research, to actually go back and say, if it's out here, why is it out here, and review that. So that is still an important part of the job, to still review it, because we don't know what it has actually seen and understood. Does that help, Cameron?
Yeah, thank you.
So now let's look at how user research is shifting with synthetic users as well, right? It is highly contentious topic. I understand that, as in this process, we will actually create virtual AI personas and perform our research on those personas. Say, for example, there are virtual users that would be created in this case, right? And I'm in no way saying, sorry, one second, guys. And I'm in no way saying that this is the only research we should do, and it is not a substitute to talking to actual users. So we need to talk to actual users and potential users to ultimately validate our hypothesis. But there are certain scenarios where we are short on time, or we are short on budget, or there are legal policies in place to recruit users, and I cannot recruit users for research. in that case, in such scenarios, we can actually use synthetic users to help us verify and validate our research, right? And we can train these models today based on the tools that we have, uh, based on the data that we have, actually, based upon the persona that we already know and data we already know about the users, we can actually train them to mimic that user behavior. For example, their demographics, the time they spend online. So all of that information can actually create those. We will see that actually in a few minutes now, in a couple of minutes now. For persona, like what persona I'm actually looking for, I actually give the prompt like first time parents or parents to be residing in urban centers, age between the centers. That was my persona prompt. And my research goal prompt here was to understand the challenges and concerns of first time parents and get that understanding from them. So we'll switch tabs again. So for this demo, actually, I have already done this one and I only had so much free trial that I could use with this particular tool. So I'm gonna just share my outcome here. As you can see on my screen, I created the persona prompt here and the research goal. So once we added the research goal and audience, the tool automatically created two users. If you see this user Maya and the behavioral map out here as well, the persona in terms of age, location, profession, and use of digital parenting resources. Not only that, it actually, based upon the research goals, created what questions I should be looking at. I can actually add more questions to it, right? I can actually add and tweak questions to it as well. And it asks those questions to this persona, which is another AI agent, and it answered the questions here for us. These are the interview insights and the questions. Similarly, it created another persona, which is on the opposite side of the spectrum. If you see the coverage on this map, you can see they're actually pretty contrasting persona. So try to bring the diversity in the persona here and ask similar questions here as well. It generated a report based upon the answers that these personas gave, these AI agents gave, and it summarized the report. It drew some key insights and takeaways for me as well. All of this process actually took about 20-ish minutes when I was doing it for the first time, versus doing it in real time can take weeks, if not months sometimes. Because you have to recruit users, you have to design a study. Here also the role of designer is equally important because you still have to design a study here and analyze it. But the process of recruiting users altogether actually saves me a lot of time. Again, understandable, it's a contentious topic. Not sure if it's how it is an evolving field as well. So we will see how it actually how it evolves. But there are tools available that we should keep an eye out for as technologists. The next one is actually my favorite one. With a show of hands, how many of us have actually heard the term vibe coding? Have you heard? No. I'm assuming a lot of people have heard the term vibe coding here, right? Amazing. So can someone go off it and tell me when was the term vibe coding actually coined? Anyone? You can use chat as well. Exactly. It was a tweet by Andre Karpati, and then it was actually in February this year. It is only 6 months old. But this has been one of the most the fastest growing set of tools that are available to us now, actually. What it basically means is it produces code. We're just vibing with the code. I want to do this, I want to do that. And it just produces the outcome in terms of a digital application. That is what vibe coding is for people who are not aware. And in this phase, actually, once we have identified the problem and we have done some user research now, right? We have done our first step. We actually would want to go and create some low fidelity prototypes, some ideate some solutions, design some solutions, and validate that with users as well. That's a typical goal of this particular stage in product development lifecycle. And tools in this phase are evolving faster than any other phase. Earlier, we used to use tools like Sketches, InVision, Balsamic. If you've used those kind of tools, you would know. And but now with the ability that these tools have, like Figma AI, UX Pilot, Bolt, we can actually create functional prototype much faster and get that out to the users to test and get feedback. This has reduced the overall feedback cycle. Designers on any team are most precious resource. We know that, right? So it will help them manage their time and energy across multiple projects so that they can actually get to the outcomes faster, right? And we can actually define a design language in the tools itself so it's aligned to what we are building. I am just going to chat. I think there's some questions in chat. We'll come back to those afterwards. Uh, so for this part of the demo, now we've identified the problem, and based upon the understanding of the problem and the users that I'm working with, I actually created a small prompt around what I need to do as an app. Like I want to create an app for the first time parents or people who are preparing for parenthood. And I defined a few series of actions I want the app to take. As a user, I should be able to open the app, put in the information from me and my partner, submit the form. I should be able to select the topics of my interest. And lastly, how my dashboard or my home screen should look like. So we're going to do that actually. And we're going to take that prompt. This is Bolt. I'm going to use Bolt for this one. Bolt, if you have not used it, it's a really good tool. I'm going to find my prompts and type the prompt in. The same prompt that you saw in the slides earlier, the same prompt. So now, as you can see, the tool actually, I didn't define the coding language. I did not define like what it should look like. So all of those decisions are actually being taken by the agent, the AI agent itself at this point. Okay. It told me based on the input I gave, like what are the core features that I'm looking for, or what are the core features it actually is going to build into the application. The design element would be warm, calming color and palette, because that's how it should be for first-time parents who are already anxious, and responsive design. So it's actually preparing all of those things on its own. And it's writing code here behind the scene for all of those things. So while it's actually building that application, the key problems that we've picked for our research was filtering out the information I need and from trusted sources, educating myself on the growth of my baby in terms of size, and what to expect in the current state of pregnancy, right? Like what my wife could be going through, what I emotionally I'm going through a lot of things too. So what are all those things? So it's actually building it. Okay. I'm gonna see if I have a version that was built already. We'll come back to that one. But there is a version that's already built. I'm gonna pull that version up. So while this was the one that I built earlier as part of my preparation, so it created this entire prototype in front of me. It's not a live application at the moment, but it's actually a prototype. I can just put in the field that I said, my name, my partner's name, where we are in terms of our pregnancy stages, what is the expected due date, let's say. So you can see there's his errors and dates, but continuing to the next step, I can select the information that I want to learn, which is more specific to where I want to be. Then it basically got me to my dashboard where it showed me, okay, my baby is about the size of a squash at this point. Uh, it's a video placeholder here as well that I can fill the content afterwards. How I might or my wife might be feeling at this point, and then what are the tips that are shared for this week, and I can select the particular topics and learn more about those topics. All of this, I got to it in like 5 minutes or less. This one is still creating creating an application here, but let's just wait for it to complete then. I'll just grab some water in the meanwhile.
I have a question while we wait.
Please.
Yeah, so it didn't look like you gave it any kind of specific coding languages or frameworks, anything like that. And you didn't give it anything about responsive design either, right? It just decided, hey, I'm going to use whatever I want to use. I'm going to use what? Okay. Okay.
No, go ahead. Please ask the question. So yeah, please let's complete the question first.
That's
So
it.
address the question. Yeah.
That was really the
So
question.
so
Did
yeah.
you any other, like, is there any history that you have on Bolt where it would kind of gather that information?
You can actually define all of those things in your profile when you're setting the tool up.
Okay.
For an organization such as I have access of Bolt through Thoughtworks. So we have a design language that we can actually set up front. This is the design like, say for example, in this case, we want the color theme to be similar to Thoughtworks, say for example, right? So we can actually set those design language in there. We can set the coding language that we want to prefer upfront as well. So it will pick up those things that we can set those parameters in the tool itself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So now it actually took like less than 5-ish minutes to actually build this application again. And I can take this to my users just to as a first prototype. I don't think it's a bad start in my opinion. And I can take it to the users to get feedback on how they're feeling about it when they go through the user experience altogether. And I can actually use this agent to further develop it. Say for example, I don't say for example, the expected due date should be calculated automatically based upon the week in pregnancy, right? So let's try that second prompt here. Uh, at the sign up page, calculate the expected due date by subtracting by using the number of weeks as it takes, assuming it takes 40 weeks for pregnancy, right? And fill it through autocomplete, something like that. So I have put a prompt in there. It will actually go and change it. It will share first what it will do. It will do an automatic due date calculation based upon the pregnancy week input and where the users enter their pregnancy week. So it actually refreshed the application just now, and we can try it very quickly. So I entered 36, now it just gave me the due date here. I can still change it. I can still go and change it based upon what actual due date might be. But the point I'm trying to make is iterating with designs becomes so much quicker. Iterating with the user journey becomes so much quicker with these tools today that it is, I think, in future going to shape the entire product management journey and role altogether a lot. Any questions? Like we can take questions at this point from the chat. I see Bill has a question. Can the AI be forced to search specific domain or source type? Yes. So you can actually do RAG implementations, which basically is you can define the database that you want to use it on, and it can actually use that. And you can always, I think there's some answers in the prompt as well. You can actually define that in the prompt too. Any other questions in the chat that I may have missed? Okay, awesome. So moving on from this demo to the next slide. Here, as you can see, I've combined the next two stages all together, which is defining the product vision and planning for release, right? The reason I've combined them together because tools that are available today actually can do two of those things simultaneously. While we are defining the product vision, we can actually start thinking about planning for release at the same time. And for this one, the key tactics that we typically use in these stages is product vision and North Star development, defining the product strategy, product roadmap, drafting a PRD, and prioritization, which should get prioritized and which should not get prioritized, right? And all of those things can actually be really, AI can actually help us by giving us more confidence in analysis and synthesis in this particular case. And we can write documentation which would take days to complete in minutes now by writing the right prompts. And so the thinking is still there. You're thinking and you're drafting the prompts in such a way that it will help you create all those documents, but much faster. I'm not typing. I'm not tied to my keyboard at this point, and it helps in drafting documents and aligning with stakeholders as well. So for this part, we're actually going to use a tool called Chat PRD. This Chat PRD tool can actually create the entire PRD of a document. It has other features too, but now I have an idea of what I'm building. Now I have an idea of uh, what the design should look like. I have got some feedback from the users in the early stages as well, validated the solution as well. Now I need to create an MVP. I need to define the scope of my application, right? So what the scope of my application is. And I actually give it a prompt based upon my previous uh, information, like what I'm building. Users should be able to log in and select topics that are relevant to them. They can view the content and relevant to the other topics, and etc. etc. And I actually added another prompt to it, that there would be an AI agent or a co-pilot that they can use to chat through the information instead of like reading through it itself. They can ask questions to the AI as well. So I'm gonna take that prompt and put that prompt in the tool here, chat PRD. Sorry, here. And let's see what happens. It was asking me a few clarifying questions. Target market, I would say target market is global. Then content source, trusted third parties, and affiliates, people that we can trust, right? AI Copilot, it should only use the content that is available in our library. User accounts, social is allowed. I'm just randomly typing in English. I'm not defining it really well, I guess. Uh, that's pretty much it. I would like it to be in PDF or editable document. I would say draft the PRD. I can respond to those questions and get it even more tailored or get it even more suitable. But it actually went ahead based upon the information I gave it. It gave me a very good starting point. So it gave me my business goal could be different. It could be 100,000 active users in first 6 months or something else. But now I don't have to draft it from the scratch. It gave me personas. I could have actually, based upon my previous output from synthetic users, I could have given the persona information here as well. And I can change it to, it drafted the functional requirements for the product, user experience, and this can also be based on the previous bold prototype that we have created. All of this can be tailored, and now actually can get to this document much faster and much more quickly than actually typing it out myself. But doesn't mean that I don't have to review it. I still will have to review it. I still will have to validate it. I still will have to maybe align with my stakeholders on this, get their feedback on this, and then move on. So that's what's going to change. That's what's changing, right, in my role. Any questions on chat PRD or up till now? Just going to go back to Zoom chat as well. What is the application Bolt built being hosted? So I can actually I can host it on Netlify. Uh, it's on a Netlify app. It automatically, I can just publish the application and it goes onto Netlify. Here you go, you click published, click publish, it actually will publish it on Netlify. I saw a hand up. Well,
Yeah, thanks. I'm curious, when you were using Bolt, I saw words come out in Bolt's response like I will create an innovative app, comprehensive, all kinds of sort of statements about the app itself. Do those words, is that just general like AI filler for the response, or do those indicate anything about the temperature of the solution that's generating? Like, is it trying to generate an innovative app which goes outside of that possibly goes outside of the bounds you've set for it, or is that just fluff that it's responding with?
I'm afraid I don't have that answer on me, Bill. I'm sorry about that, but something that I can look back and check and come back with you on this one. I don't have that answer handy. I don't
Okay,
know at this point. Yeah.
great, thanks.
Second question around, are we going to be training all our PMO design folks? I don't have answer to that question either, but Bold definitely is one of the tools and UX Pilot is what we have access through our Thoughtworks AIFSD team. So if you need access to those team, you can actually just reach out to them as well. And I agree with you, Jeff, in the chat here as well. By not typing the documents, though, doesn't mean that we don't think about the details, so we don't understand the topic, right? We still have to do thinking. Thinking is still, the more you think, the better your prompts would be. And the better the prompts are, the better the output would be. That's how I think about it, at least. So moving on to the next phase of development. Unfortunately, I'm not a developer anymore, so I don't have a lot of these tools handy with me. But the next phase is organizing and doing the work, so which basically includes agile development and testing. So we can automate drafting tests. I know that my team, specifically engineers on my team, actually use AI tools to draft unit tests, run the test cases as well, and even draft code templates much faster. So that reduces the overall fast development time and reduces the bugs as well, as we are testing it much more faster and much more quickly. But that's on the organizing and doing the work part. There are tools available for that too, like Cursor, Grok, GitHub Copilot, Replit, that can be used. And there are proprietary tools available for different companies as well. And these tools can be trained on your repository, your code repository. So you can actually put some governance framework around it as well. Lastly, the last phase of the PDLC product development lifecycle is releasing the product, which basically means capturing the metrics, adding observability onto products, making sure the user onboarding and adoption is actually captured and is smooth for us as well. So there are tools which can actually help us get that insights and analysis uh, done for us and provide us with recommendations as well, like in terms of where we can actually focus our next effort to prioritize. And that's an input, but that's one of the many inputs that we can get from these tools. Right? It overall reduces the time to market, better ROI through better campaign performances, and data analysis and insights. Now, moving on to the next section, which is we've gone through the PDLC now. We've gone through different phases of product development lifecycle and saw at different stages what tools are available to us and how can we actually accelerate our timelines. But there are key considerations and risks to be kept in mind as we start using these tools, right? Some of those considerations are security and privacy, right? What data do we feed in? We should not be feeding any customer data or our client data in there without their permissions, or at least without the tools that are approved for the use of that data, right? So that's the biggest concern I think that we have seen so far. Agentic drift, where these agents are autonomous, they can take decisions on their own, and they can actually do their own thing. So that agentic drift is the other one. Fragmented governance. So as you can see, I'm using Perplexity here, which is not part of the approved set of tools at Thoughtworks, but I didn't put any Thoughtworks related information in there. It was a pretty generic information, but teams adopt different tools based upon their needs, and that basically creates some sort of a drift and inconsistent data lineage for the governance teams to actually manage those tools from security point of view. Cybersecurity is another one, and the risk of over automation. I think someone called out in chat as well, where we are relying heavily on on the output from the AI. It should not be that. The whole point of leveraging AI is to give us more thinking time and reskill and skill upwards for us than deskilling. And last but not the least is something that we should always keep in mind is hallucinations, model biases that they might add. So hence reviewing and adding the human review cycle there is actually much more important. I think this is very similar to the mitigation strategies we spoke about, like how do you minimize data security risk by minimizing the data and reduction of the data that you put into the AI tools, and put agentic guardrails such as enforcing the least privilege API keys, adding human level approvals, then observability by collecting data, setting alerts on those data as well, and always have a fallback and rollback plan, like in terms of which are more human curated processes, and how can we fall back if something goes off? How do we restore the service, and how do we actually get things back to normal state? That pretty much is the content. I wanted to spend some time if there are any further questions that we can take here. Okay. I'm just going to the chat parallelly here as well. I don't see any new questions in there. So if all of us, now since I have a few more minutes here, if all of us can actually scan this QR code and provide some feedback for the session, that will be great. And this feedback will actually help us inform how to curate the future sessions, and how do we bring this out next year as well, and get the feedback on this AI festival that we are having today. I'm going to keep this QR code up here for next couple of minutes.
Is there a link to this form in the invite?
Yes. It's not in the invite. Actually, I'm going to post the link here on chat as well.